Hi, pre-calcers. Today we are going to go through the fourth section of conic sections. So those are called hyperbolas. So last section we did ellipses, and the one before that we did parabolas. So we had parabolas, ellipses, and now we're on hyperbolas. And you said, wait a second, you said 4. Well, the fourth one we actually did way back in chapter 1, which was circles. So that's gonna circle back around, later on. All right, math jokes. So here we go. We've got the standard forms of the equations of hyperbolas. We've got vertices are going to be a units from the center. And we've got, once again, the center is h comma k. And c is going to be the distance from the center to the foci. That's the same exact idea as the ellipse. However, the way that we find the foci is a little bit different. So as opposed to the ellipse, the way that we find the foci for the hyperbola is going to be c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So for the ellipse, it was a minus in between the a squared and the b squared. This time it's a squared plus b squared. All right. So we've got two different forms of equations of hyperbolas. One where it's the horizontal transverse axis, and one where it's the vertical transverse axis. So what does that mean? So horizontal just means when we draw the hyperbola, so just to give you guys a quick little sketch of what a hyperbola is going to look like, we've got my x and y axis, and then I'm going to just erase that little random stray mark, and we've got the x and y axis. Now my hyperbola is going to be, let's draw it in green. So horizontal, if the x comes first, the hyperbola is going to open towards the x's on the x-axis. So that's what a hyperbola is going to look like. Now for vertical transverse axis, where the y's are first, we're going to have the hyperbola opening up and down towards the y's. All right, so we've got that. Now, the other part of the hyperbola is something called asymptotes. So we've talked about asymptotes before, and that is some line that the graph doesn't cross usually. For the vertical asymptotes, it was a line that the graph didn't cross. We also did slant asymptotes, so it's kind of where the graph is kind of trending towards. So we're going to have asymptotes here as well, and we're going to have two asymptotes. And this equation for the asymptote actually comes from point slope form. It's just a take on it. So it's like y minus k equals plus or minus b over a, and then x minus h. So that's kind of where it comes from. They just moved the k over. Same idea with this. It's like y minus k equals plus or minus a over b, x minus h. Okay, so the only thing that like that is they just brought the k over, but it's a take on point slope form. So the way that you know which one it is, whether it's b over a or a over b, this is the way that I look at it. I say, all right, when I have my slope, because this number in front, this fraction is my slope for both of these, I look at it and I say, all right, I've got a y over an x, usually, well, always for my slope. So in this case, underneath my y is the b, underneath my x is a. So it's yb over a, the x. For this second one, we've got y over x. So underneath the y was the a, underneath the x is the b. So y is a over the x, which is b. All right, so the foci are going to look like this. Sorry, the asymptotes are going to look like this, because it's plus or minus. Uh-oh, I went a little bit off on my course. All right, so it shouldn't touch that. So I draw that, boop, 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 boop. And then I'm going to draw in my hyperbola again. And I'll draw in my x-axis. Boom. Okay, so it's gonna get like kind of squished in between those two asymptotes. So same idea with this other one. My asymptotes are going to be going like this, two lines where it kind of has that hyperbola is contained within those two lines. Now the center point is going to be where the two asymptotes intersect. Okay, so my center point is going to be where my two asymptotes intersect. Okay, so, and then my foci, just so that we know where my foci would be, my foci are going to be inside, just like it was inside of the parabola. It was inside of the ellipse. My foci are going to be inside of each piece of that hyperbola. So my foci are going to be inside of each piece of that hyperbola. So those are my foci. All right, so I think sometimes it's easiest to just kind of get on with graphing, and then it's a little bit easier to figure out, oh, okay, that's how we kind of approach graphing. All right, so going through, I'm gonna do purple to start out with. Okay, so the first thing I do is I identify my center, because that's kind of where I want to start out with. So my center is h comma k, so in this case, it's going to be -1, comma, -2. So I go ahead, -1, comma, -2, and I'm going to plot my point there. Okay, because the x's are first, it's going to open left and right. Okay, as opposed to up and down. All right, so now my vertices. I'm going to change color. All right, now my vertices, what I do with my vertices is I take my A is the number, the square root of the number under the first fraction, so A is going to be 3. All right, now because it opens left and right, we're going to count 3 to the left and 3 to the right. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So my vertices are going to be at 2, comma, -2, and -4, comma, -2. Okay, so we count 3 to the left and 3 to the right. All right, so those are going to be my hyperbolas where I'm going to plot that point. Now the next thing we do is our asymptotes. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in my asymptotes. First thing I do is I find the equation for the asymptote. So the equation for the asymptote is y equals my k value, which is -2, and then plus or minus, and then it's, in this case, the y's over the x's, so my b is 4. So y is 4 over the x's is 3. So my slope is going to be 4/3. So it's, ooh, I just zoomed way in. So 4/3. And then it is x minus a -1, so +1. Okay, so those are my asymptotes. So basically, here's the deal. Just what it boils down to. Because we have point slope form, it's actually nice and easy. We don't have to get what the actual equation is in slope intercept form. All we do is we go from my center point, and I'm going to use a slope of +4/3. So I go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 over to the left 1, 2, 3. And that's going to be my first asymptote. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully connect those. Oh, shoot. All right. So that's my first asymptote. It should go through that center point. I was a little bit off on that one. All right, that's with a slope of +4/3. Now we're going to do -4/3. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. And then I go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3 to the left. And then I connect those. Oh, much better this time. And those are my asymptotes. Okay? So now I can draw in what the hyperbola is because it's going to open left and right. So we get closer to that asymptote, but we never touch it. So it's going to open to the left and to the right. It's going to get closer to that asymptote, but never touch it. Okay? And then I now need to do my foci, which is the last part. So my foci is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So 9 plus 16. So that is c squared equals 25. So c equals 5. So that means I'm going to go left and right once again from my center 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 foci. And then I go to the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from my center foci. So those two foci are 5 to the left. So we've got 4 comma negative 2 and, oh, sorry, that was to the right. And 5 to the left, which is negative 6 comma negative 2. All right. So I'm going to pause here before I go ahead and do the second one.